Hey, welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoyed the um, dedication and the introduction to the purpose of closure, how it began, volume 1. And as I promised, we're going to do chapter 1, family history. First, I would like to thank the person who commented um, because they seen the transition themselves personally, and I want to thank you, give you a shout out, and for all your support as well. I'm not going to take too much time today. I'm going to get down into the nitty gritty, and I'm going to get relaxed. Okay, I'm going to get relaxed. I thought about this last night, and I was like, I wonder how I did. I wonder if I touched anyone. I wonder if anyone can relate to what I was saying. And if you don't get it now, you'll get it on the way home. How about that? So let's get down into it, okay? We're reading the first volume of The Purpose of Closure, How It Began. And this is the first chapter. It's called Family History. So give you a little insight of my history. Now, I went as far as I can remember as a little girl, okay? Now, I do want to mention that that's why I got closure as I wrote the book, because I found out some things. You know how family tell you things when you're young, or family members, close kins, friends, and relations would tell you things just to implicate themselves in your lives or your family lives. And I found out after I had wrote this book, some things that I was told that was not true. And a lot of times people just don't know the impact or the influence they have when they tell children or young people, young adults, teenagers, certain things, because they grow up thinking and believing it. So when we get to that point, I will share with you exactly what I meant, okay, later on in the book. Now, my name is Cassandra Brand. Family and friends I grew up with call me Sandy. I was born August 11, 1965 in Buffalo, New York. Today I'm 43 years old, single with 4 children. Now, when I first started writing this book, like I said, I was 43. Today I'm 57. And I encourage, I'm quite sure everyone has a story. Everyone has a book. And that's how I got my closure and my therapy. And it began my healing for me when I started writing these things, out the eyes of a child. And it really did give me a lot of closure. And it was good, bad, and ugly. Some people love me, some people hate me, some people couldn't stand me. But I've learned how to love myself, and I'm healed, okay? So at this time, I have 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy, starting with the youngest to the oldest, Monet, my son Evans, Inez, and Vasil. Ages 10, 17, 24, and 26 years old. That's how old they were when I first started writing this book. I have 2 grandchildren by my oldest daughter, ages 6 and 10 months. I gave birth to my first child at the age of 16 by a man who was 26 years older than me. Yes, I was 15. and he was 41 years old. Inez and Von Seal's father was the godfather of Eastside Buffalo, New York. He was murdered in 1991. So I've been traumatized practically all my life. And that's why I just needed to get some closure. You know, we go through life and we just take one blow after another, don't understand why, who, what, where, you know, or what. We just go through life every day like this. So could you imagine a man that was 26 years older than me? Yes, I was 15, he was 41 years old. Inez and Von Seal's father was the godfather of Eastside Buffalo, New York. He was murdered in 1991. I will never forget the disturbing phone call I received from my daughter, Von Seal, who was 7 years old at this time. Mommy, someone shot my daddy. Von Seal was in the house when this happened. Then 1 hour later, she called to tell me her father died. He was shot in the chest through the front door with a shotgun. Yeah, your 7-year-old daughter in the house with her father. And he gets shot while she's in the house with a shotgun through the door. He's holding the door. I was not there. This is how she described it to me. And at the time, I was in Linden, New Jersey. Sitting at my desk in total shock. I'll share more information about him later in the volumes of this book. Evan's dad is an extremely dangerous gangster, not only to me or the public, but to himself. He ended up in federal prison serving 20 years for continuing criminal enterprise. After serving 18 years in prison, less than 2 years later, he was sent back to prison for violating parole. I call those professional criminals. When you go to do Fed times, you just come out to be a better criminal. Just like going to a crime school to become a better criminal. Bless his heart. He has deceased since then, which is in 2015 of a heart attack. He ended up in federal prison, like I said, for 20 years for continued criminal enterprise. After serving 18 years in prison, less than 2 years later, he was sent back to prison for violating parole. Monet's dad is a national truck driver. He was a Freddy Krueger on Elm Street. My first square nightmare. What is a square? A blue-collar worker who comes straight home from work, pays all the bills, but has a closet full of skeletons. Don't be deceived. I know you have probably experienced or been involved with one of these Freddy Kruegers, okay? Decepticons. That's what I call them. The men in my life were a reflection of what I thought a man was to be, only to realize I never had a reflection of a real man in vision. I have 2 older sisters and 1 brother, Tanya, Mary, and Roy, who all were drug addicts involved in prostitution gangs and all kinds of criminal behavior. My mother was previously married with 2 children before she married my father. My parents met in 1958 and married in 1962. Mama was 20 years old and Daddy was 20. So she was older than him. You know, there's nothing wrong with a few years older, the woman being older, or even the man being older. But my children's father was 26 years older than me, which I didn't know was considered as a predator at that time. Okay, because I was only 15 when I met him. Black Americans had no civil rights during this time. The both of them were from Alabama. Mama was from the city of Mobile and was raised on a farm with 14 kids, 9 sisters and 5 brothers. I remember her telling me when she was a little girl how she worked on the farm catching and wringing the chicken necks. I guess that's where the countryside of me came from. My mom only completed school to the 10th grade. I never completed school either. Now I understand why my father always took care of the paperwork and their marriage at the time. Mama's family migrated to Buffalo in 1950 when she was 15 years old. Her mother left her dad because of an abusive marriage and raised all her children as a single parent. She did a wonderful job raising them and the word and fear of God. Mom was raised holiness. She raised us holiness and the word and fear of God too. I raised my 4 children as a single parent in the word and in the fear of God while in the midst of my tormented lifestyle. Now you see how those generational curses accumulate generation after generation after generation. People can only give you the capacity of what they have and what they're taught. Doesn't mean they don't love you. They just don't have it to give to you. And we'll talk about later in the books how it takes a village to raise one child. You can't be like overprotective, keeping them in the house, put them in front of TV or remote control or video games today. You just have to build healthy relationships in your community, which is very challenging today, but it can be done. It can be done if you stay on it. You don't leave your child to the village. You know what I'm saying? You build the village together. Accountability. Now, my parents met at my mother's brother, James Young's wedding. Now, he originally started Buffalo Chicken Wings. His wife, Cynthia, grew up with my dad in Alabama. This is how my father was invited to the wedding. Now, I did change the names. I changed the names because I know this is going to be a great book. And as long as people think that no one's paying attention to listen to them, or listening to, or reading this book, they're not gonna worry about it. But the first should be the last, and the last should be the first. Okay? Because this is a great platform. You have billions of people on YouTube daily. Okay? Now, continuing reading. Daddy is from Bessemer, Alabama, but he tells everyone he was born in Birmingham. Mama said he was born in Johns, Alabama. You see how people say things just to make themselves look and feel better or more important? I mean, it's as long as just be honest. And that is a great way to start. That's a great way to start. Because the geographic locations is totally different. Bessemer, Birmingham, Johns, you know, that's like Stockton, Alabama versus Bessemer, Birmingham, Alabama. Just stick with me. This is going to be a good reading, okay? It's going to be a good reading and good content. And please subscribe, like, and share, and comment down below. Now, Dad's father, his father was a coal miner, and his mother was a seamstress at a dry cleaner. They had 5 children, and they were not able to satisfy the quality of life my father desired as a young man growing up. So Daddy quit school at the age of 15 and enlisted himself in the Army. Do you see the pattern? I left home at the age of 10. He realized he wasn't able to handle the Vietnam War mentally any longer and was released with an honorable discharge after serving his time. Ending back to where he came from, he continued to seek a better future and decided to relocate to Buffalo. To seek a better future and decided, to relocate to Buffalo with some friends he grew up with in Alabama when they came to his hometown to visit. So they came to his hometown and it was like, hey, let's go to Buffalo. It's some opportunities there, jobs, a better life. You know how the Southerners migrate to North. Okay. And Daddy obtained one of the best jobs a black man could have in Buffalo during these days at Chevrolet plant in the suburbs of Tonawanda from October 1961 to 1973. Daddy was working to build a foundation for the love of his life and family. He found the perfect home where he decided to raise his children and pursue his dreams to live the Black American dream. They became self-sufficient with a nice home, automobile, and a decent job at Chevrolet plant. That was a great accomplishment for a black family in those days, considering where he came from. But that just covered the external in life. My father is Baptist. He sang in the choir, was on the deacon board, and went to church drunk every Sunday. My mom is holiness, so they never went to church together. To be honest with you, I don't remember going to church with my father at all. Mama always was a spiritual warrior in our family, like most women are today. But I got closure on this chapter. My father shared a story with me how he used to walk from my mom's church for a distance. So he did reach out. It's just they were just unevenly yoked. That's my observation, my conclusion. Both of them from Alabama. Now they met through my uncle's, at my uncle's wedding, through his wife. So in those days, they always try to have arranged or fixed marriages where you have to wait, years to get married and things like that. Because back in those days, they were like, you can't have sex till you get married. So some people, they used to just get married just so they can have sex. I've done it. I've done it. At 19, yes, I believe I was 19, because I was going to church and they was like, that's fornication. You're going to die and go to hell. Can you relate? I wanted to give you a little bit of foundation about, our family. I'm the youngest in my family. I have a sister from my father and my mother. And then my mother has another boy and girl, well, man and woman now, because they like in their 60s. Merging families is not easy. And you hold on to that. You give me your thoughts about, or your experience with merging families, or relocating, starting a new job, looking for a way out, a better life. Now, we're in 2022. This happened when my parents were 20 and 21. And today, they are 85 and 86 years old. Still married. But we're going to get into that. That's way down the road. Because I'm going to share my story for God's glory, because I know someone can relate to what I am talking about. And someone, once they relate, they're going to realize, wow, I'm not alone. Or I never really thought about this. I'm not trying to re-traumatize you. Just trying to pull it out so that you can get closure and start asking questions. Ask God to reveal things to you. That's why a lot of times people, places, and things, especially children, and even elderly people, still act out because of what they've been through as a child. Misinformation that's been given to them from their own family. And you grew up believing this. Then you grew up teaching your children this. It's not a very happy place in life. And I have to do this in increments. I wouldn't be able to just like run through this. But I'm going to slow cook it and take my time, because there's so much information that can be shared to help people get closure and help them to heal. I know 2 years later about things that I wrote from the eyes of a child. So do you understand what I'm saying? See, you see things in the eyes of a child, and you grow up as a teenager or as an adult or even a parent yourself. But you still got those images in your head, and the voices in your head, and influences, good, bad, and ugly, in your heart, and you grow up like that. It's not your fault. It's not. God wants us to prosper even as our soul prosper. And the only way your soul going to prosper is if it's healthy and healed. Because you could be broken and have all the money in the world and still be unhappy. Start from the root. I understand some people don't have a mother and a father now, or they're not together, or you might not even know them. You start meditating and spending time with God of the universe. I'm not talking about religion, because as I said at the beginning, I was just driving down the road and I know I heard the voice of God. I know I heard the voice of God, and I was in my mess. So just start getting the paper and pen and start writing love letters to God, love letters to yourself. Write down questions, things that you can remember. It doesn't have to be, excuse me, y'all know it's after 7 o'clock. I don't know why I'll be trying to do them after 7, because I get up at 3 a.m. in the morning. But start just writing it down, journaling it. And once you start writing, sometimes you may not be able to stop. You may be able to write so much, and then you'll be like, oh, I got a book. And just do your best. If you're interested in writing a book after you have all your thoughts, your feelings, and your events written down, you can contact me. I'll be more than likely to help assist you. Because that is my vision. It's part of my vision. Because when I first wrote my book, I didn't have anyone to really help me. I hooked up with this publishing company and I thought they was going to edit the book. They didn't do nothing. They just printed it the same way I wrote it. And I didn't even know until I started selling the book. And for a long time, I was so embarrassed and felt so ashamed. But I'm healed from that. I'm healed from that. And I don't regret anything I've done as far as that was concerned. I'm just encouraging you right now about getting closure, writing things down. The first place to start is your family history. Was your parents married? Where did they come from? Where were they born and raised? Did they shack up? Was they doing their own thing in the convenience? Or whenever they want to hook up? Using the kids as a meal ticket? You don't want to repeat that. Break that curse. Because there's somebody for everyone. And God loves you. But first you have to love yourself. Love yourself. And most of all, respect yourself. Because you deserve better. Because some people get married on lies. They be lying about who they are, whose they are, where they come from. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed Chapter 1, Family History. If you have any comments, please comment down below. Check out the links below. We have, if you're into mental health care or fashion, skincare, beauty care, hair care, just check out the links below and share. Maybe it can help someone else. I've been through my transition. I went from wearing wigs down 23 inches and I worked my way. Now I just got my hair cut. And I'm loving myself. I'm loving myself because I didn't love myself. I just began to really get closure and heal. And we do that taking one day at a time. So I'm here for you. And you can contact me through email. That is also listed below. So tomorrow, we're going to be doing Chapter 2. We're going to talk about my neighborhood. That's going to be interesting. And so until then, you have a very blessed and productive day. Ciao.